happy Wednesday. Hope you're having a good week so far. Hope you're ready to hear a couple more chapters out of Stone Clocks. So in our last couple of chapters, we figured out why Grandpa had gotten sick. He's really stressed out because he couldn't pay to keep his farm. He couldn't pay his taxes. And so now the tax people are threatening to take the farm away so little Willie would have nowhere to live with Grandpa. And little Willie was really shocked about this. He didn't know what to do. Well, Lila, after listening to those chapters, she thinks that little Willie and Grandpa will somehow work together to come up with a way to save the farm. And Gabe, he thinks that little Willie will use his college money to save the farm. So now we're going to read chapters 5 and 6. The first chapter is chapter 5 called The Way. And I hope that we find out that one of our friends predicted correctly. The next day, little Willie met the situation head on. Or at least he wanted to. But he wasn't sure just what to do. Where was he going to find $500? Grandfather had always said,
Well, there's a will, there's a way.
Little Willie had the will. Now he had to find the way to do it. Oh, of all the ridiculous things, cried Doc Smith. Not paying his taxes. Let this be a lesson to you, Willie. But the potatoes barely bring in enough money to live on, explained little Willie. We went broke last year. Well, that doesn't matter. Taxes have got to be paid, whether we like it or not. And believe me, I don't know of anybody who likes it. Well, then why do we got to pay them in the first place? Yeah, because it's the way the state gets their money. Yeah, well, why don't they just grow potatoes like Grandfather does? Doc Smith laughed. They have more important things to do than grow potatoes, she explained. Well, like what? Well, like taking care of us. Oh, please, Grandfather says we should take care of ourselves. Oh, no. Not all people can take care of themselves. Like the sick. Like your grandfather. Well, I take care of him, and he took care of me when my mother died. Now I'm taking care of him. Oh, but what if something should happen to you? Oh, little Willie thought about this. They walked over to the sled where Searchlight was waiting. Doc Smith's high boots were sinking into the soft snow with each step. Little Willie brushed the snow off Searchlight's back, and then he asked, Oh, and all this money is the reason Grandfather got sick, isn't it? Yes, I believe it is, Willie, she agreed. So if I pay the taxes, Grandfather will get better, won't he? Doc Smith rubbed the wrinkles below her eyes. You just better do what I told you before. Let Mrs. Peacock take care of your grandfather But he will, right? He'll get better, won't he? Well, yes, I'm sure he would. But, child, where are you going to get $500? Well, I don't know, but I will. You'll see. That afternoon, little Willie stepped into the bank, wearing his blue suit and his blue tie, and his hair was so slicked down that it looked like wet paint. He asked to see Mr. Foster, who was the president of the bank. Mr. Foster was a big man with a big cigar stuck right in the center of his big mouth. When he talked, the cigar bobbled up and down, and little Willie wondered why the ashes didn't fall off the end of it. Little Willie showed Mr. Foster the papers from Grandfather's strongbox, and he told him everything Clifford Snyder, the taxman, had said.
Yes, you should sell,
Mr. Foster recommended after studying the papers. The cigar bobbled up and down.
Sell the farm, pay your taxes. If you don't, they will take the farm away from you. They could do that, you know.
Yeah, but I'll be 11 next year, and I'm going to grow more potatoes than anybody has ever seen. You're going to see.
No, you need $500 now, Willie. Do you know how much that really is? And anyway, there isn't enough time. Of course, the bank could loan you the money, but how would you ever pay us back? And then what about next year? No. I say sell. Sell before you end up with nothing at all.
Then the cigar ash fell onto the desk. Well, I have $50 in my savings account.
No, I'm sorry, Willie, Mr. Foster said as he wiped the ashes onto the floor.
As little Willie walked out of the bank with his head down, Searchlight greeted him by placing two mighty paws right in the center of his chest. Little Willie smiled and grabbed Searchlight around the neck and squeezed her as hard as he could. "We're gonna do this, girl, you and me. We'll find the way." Next day, Little Willie talked to everybody he could think of. He talked to his teacher, Mrs. Williams. He talked with Lester at the general store. He even talked with Hank, who swept up over at the post office. They all told him, sell the farm. That was their only answer. There was only one person left for him to talk to, if only he could. "What do you think? Should we sell?" Little Willie asked. Palm up meant yes. Palm down meant no. Grandfather's hand lay motionless on the bed. Searchlight barked. Grandfather's fingers twitched a little. That was all. Things sure looked hopeless. But then Little Willie found the way. He was at Lester's general store when it happened, when he saw the poster. Every February, the National Dog Sled Races were held in Jackson, Wyoming. People came from all over to enter this race, and some of the finest dog teams in the country were represented. It was an open race. Any number of dogs could be entered, even just one dog. The race covered 10 miles of snow-covered countryside, starting and ending on Main Street, right in front of the old church. There was a cash prize for the winner. The amount was different every year. This year, the prize was $500. "Sure," Lester said as he pried the nail loose and handed Little Willie the poster. "I'll pick up another one at the mayor's office." Lester was skinny, but he was strong, and he wore a white apron. And he talked with saliva on his lips. "Gonna be a good race this year. They say that mountain man, the Indian called Stone Fox, might come. He's never lost a race. No wonder he has 5 Samoans." But Little Willie wasn't listening as he ran out of the store, holding the poster in his hand. "Thank you, Lester. Thank you." Grandfather's eyes were fixed on the ceiling. Little Willie had to stand on his toes in order to put the poster directly in front of Grandfather's face. "I'm going to win this," Little Willie said. "You'll see. They're never going to take this farm away." Searchlight barked and put one paw on the bed. Grandfather closed his eyes and squeezed out a little tear that rolled down and filled up his ear. Little Willie gave Grandfather a big hug, and Searchlight barked again. Chapter 6. Stone Fox. Little Willie went to see Mayor Smiley at the City Hall building in town to sign up for the race. The mayor's office was large and smelled like hair tonic. The mayor sat in a bright red chair with his feet up on the desk. There was nothing on the desk, except for the mayor's feet.
"We have a race for you youngsters 1 hour before the big race."
Mayor Smiley mopped sweat from his neck with a silk handkerchief, although Little Willie thought it was quite cool in the room. "No, I want to enter the real race, Mr. Mayor."
"You must be funning me, boy."
The mayor laughed twice and blotted his neck with the handkerchief.
"Anyway, there's an entrance fee.
"Well, how much?"
$50.
Little Willie was stunned. That was a lot of money just to enter the race. But he was determined to do this. So then he ran across the street to the bank.
"Oh, don't you be silly,"
Mr. Foster told Little Willie.
"This is not a race for amateurs. Some of the best dog teams in the Northwest are going to be entering."
"Yeah, but I've got Searchlight and we go as fast as lightning. Really, Mr. Foster, we do." Mr. Foster shook his head.
"You don't stand a chance of winning."
"Yes, we do."
"Willie, the money in your savings account is for your college education. You know I cannot just give it to you."
"Oh, yeah? Well, you have to."
"What? I do?"
"Yeah, that's my money." Little Willie left the bank with a stack of $10 gold pieces, 5 of them to be exact. He walked into the mayor's office and he plopped the coins down on the mayor's desk. "Me and Searchlight are going to win that $500, Mr. Mayor. You will see. Everybody's going to see." Mr. Smiley counted the money, wiped his neck, and entered Little Willie into the race. When Little Willie stepped out of City Hall building, he felt 10 feet tall. He looked up and down the snow-covered street. He was grinning ear to ear. Searchlight walked over and stood in front of the sled. She was waiting to be hitched up. But Little Willie wasn't ready to go yet. He put his thumbs in his belt loops and let the sun warm his face. He felt great. In his pocket was a map Mayor Smiley had given him, showing him the 10 miles that the race covered. It was down Main Street, right on North Road. Little Willie could hardly hold back his excitement. 5 miles of that race he traveled every single day. He knew it with his eyes closed. The last 5 miles were back into town along South Road, which was mostly straight and it was flat. It was speed that would count here. And with the lead he knew he could get in the first 5 miles, Little Willie was sure he would win this. As Little Willie hitched Searchlight to the sled, something down at the end of the street, something was moving, and it caught his eye. They were difficult to see because they were all white. There were 5 of them. They were beautiful. In fact, they were the most beautiful dogs Little Willie had ever seen. The dogs held their heads up proudly and strutted in unison. It means they were all walking at the exact same pace. They pulled a large but lightly constructed sled. They also pulled a large but by no means lightly constructed man. Way down at the end of the street, the man looked normal, but as his sled got closer, the man got bigger and bigger. The man was an Indian, dressed in furs and leather, with moccasins that came all the way up to his knees, and his skin was dark and his hair was dark, and he wore a dark-colored headband. His eyes were sparkling in the sunlight, but the rest of his face was hard as stone. The sled came to a stop right next to Little Willie. The boy's mouth hung open and he tilted his head way back to look up at the man. Little Willie had never seen a giant before. "Oh, gosh," Little Willie gasped. The Indian looked down at Little Willie. His face was solid granite, but his eyes were alive and smart. "Howdy," Little Willie blurted out, and he gave a nervous smile. But the Indian said nothing. His eyes shifted to Searchlight, who let out a soft moan, but did not bark. The giant walked into the City Hall building. Word that Stone Fox had entered the race spread throughout the town of Jackson within the hour, and throughout the state of Wyoming within the day. Stories and legends about the awesome mountain man followed shortly. Little Willie heard many of these stories at Lester's General Store. Little Willie learned that no white man had ever heard Stone Fox talk. Stone Fox refused to speak with the white man because of how badly they had treated his people. His tribe, the Shoshone, who were peaceful seed gatherers, had been forced to leave Utah and settle on a reservation in Wyoming with another tribe called the Arapaho. Stone Fox's dream was for his people to return to their homeland. Stone Fox was using the money that he won from his races to simply buy land back. He had already purchased 4 farms and over 200 acres of land. That Stone Fox was smart, all right. In the next week, Little Willie and Searchlight went over the 10-mile track every day until they knew it by heart. Stone Fox hardly practiced at all. In fact, Little Willie only saw Stone Fox do the course once, and he was not even going fast. The race was scheduled for Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. Only 9 sleds had entered the race. Mayor Smiley had wanted more people to enter, but when they heard the Stone Fox was going to be racing, well, they just didn't want to try. It was true, Stone Fox had never lost a race, but Little Willie wasn't worried. He had made up his mind he was going to win this, and nothing was going to stop him. Not even Stone Fox. And that's the end of chapter 6. Yikes, Stone Fox seems like kind of a scary man. And I'm wondering what you think is going to happen next. I'm wondering if Little Willie might chicken out and not do the race at all. What do you think? I'm also wondering if Stone Fox will actually just end up winning, because that's what he does, and his dogs are so amazing. I'd love it if you'd message me. Tell me what you think is going to happen next. We have about 4 more chapters in the book. The next chapter is called The Meeting, so I'm excited to hear what happens in that chapter. Have a good night, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.